welcome to the MVP Show. Today we interview Rebekka Aalbers, a technology consultant at Dutch Microsoft partner Macor, and her journey to becoming an MVP. It's interesting. She comes from a SharePoint background and has focused in recent times on the Power Platform, particularly Power Apps and governance around Power Apps. Anyhow, let's listen into her journey of becoming an MVP. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guide.com/189. Rebekka, welcome to the MVP Show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So, what part of the world do you hail from?
I live in the Netherlands.
And
Very,
specifically?
very rural. Not in Amsterdam, like most people think.
And so, if you're very rural, kind of, are you working for a company there? What do you do?
Well, currently I'm working from home, like most people. But usually I drive or take the train to whatever place in the Netherlands I need to be. It's a small country, so that works actually very, very nice.
So is your kind of role remote, and then you go and work on site with customers at the appropriate time?
Yeah. It's usually I go to our office. I try to be there once a week just to get connected with my colleagues, and then 1 or 2 days at home, and then some days at a customer.
If I was to come to the Netherlands, and I didn't want to visit Amsterdam because everybody goes to Amsterdam, and I wanted to get a real taste of the Netherlands, where would you recommend that I went to that wasn't Amsterdam?
It's funny because I tell this a lot to a lot of people because they all say they want to go to Amsterdam. I would say to visit one of the smaller, older cities like Utrecht or The Hague. That's where our government is. Deventer, I like very much. Apeldoorn, Leeuwarden, there's a lot.
Wow, there is.
Yeah, there are a lot. Yeah.
I've been to The Hague, and you're right. I landed in Amsterdam and then basically jumped straight on a train and went to The Hague, and that city is an amazing city. I just couldn't get over it. The cafes, the food, as you say, the center of your government's there. Even is the royal family there or something?
The Peace Court?
Yeah, the Hague Convention or something like that was what came from there. Oh, the peace. Is it the Worldwide Peace Court? Is it?
Yeah, so and there's also because our government is there, so there are a lot of people from all over the world. Yes, it's different than Amsterdam, which is basically basically Disneyland for adults.
The reason I went there was Matt Whitterman, another MVP. He was actually living there for a period of time, and I went and visited him there. It would have been, it was either last year or the year before.
Okay, yeah,
so not
nice. Yeah.
So what area, as an MVP, what's your kind of specialist area that you've taken a focus on and around why you've been awarded an MVP?
Power Apps. Yeah, I used to be an Office 365 consultant. I had dabbled with CRM online back in the day. And then Power Apps was introduced in Office 365, and I just started to try it out. And at some point, when Power Apps was, CDS for apps became available, it just felt so natural because I had some CRM background. I had the Power Apps background, and it just like everything came together, and I just went for it. Yeah.
So what about the demand in the Netherlands for Power Apps? Is that growing or is it well established already?
Yeah, it's actually growing a lot. There are more big corporations starting now with Power Apps and Power Platform because they became a leader in the leader quadrant of whatever company you think of, and then they got interested. So yeah, it's growing. I don't have to. I have work every day.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And so, if you look at the key scenarios that you've built out with Power Apps, what are they? What type of industry solutions have you come up with?
Usually, the scenarios that we have are smaller apps, and actually, the last half a year, like 9 months, I do a lot around governance, because the companies see that they see the platform and they want to use it, but first get things in order. So yeah, I'm implementing the Center of Excellence Starter Kit a lot at companies, just help them getting started, and then after that, we can start creating solutions.
Okay, so just let's look at that governance area for a moment. What are kind of the steps you do or put in place as part of implementing the COE starter kit? Do you need to kind of get in as a baseline before you feel a company then can start developing many apps, but have the constraints in place to make sure that the product is going to be supported, that people are not going to create public connectors to internal private connectors, so there's no risk of data leakage out across the network? What are kind of the steps you take?
What we usually do is, or me or a colleague, is a set of workshops where we basically go through what do you want. Do you work with one tenant, or have you several tenants? What will be the environment strategy, or from a dynamics perspective, your instances, DLP policies. What kind of DLP policies need to be in place? Are we going to make use of Azure DevOps for automatic deployment through from dev to QA to production, that kind of stuff? And then and usually we start with the beginning, so make sure that the environment strategy is in place, DLP policies, and clean up, because when we do this, then usually customers find out that there is already a lot created. So yeah, so then we have to do some cleanup and then have a look at what did people create. Are there business critical applications already in place? So do we need to do a check on are or if it's if they're solid? So, and do we need to get those applications because they're heavily used, do we need to take them to the more managed environments? So if something breaks, that you have something in place to fix it, because that's what you see now happening, is that there are people creating stuff, and I like that. But if a business user creates something and then at some point, like the half of the company relies on the application, then then you need something else in place, because this business user is not what if the person leaves, or what if it's not his or her main job to maintain the app. So yeah, so that's the thing that we are working on, and the Center of Excellence Starter Kit is just an accelerator, because there's a lot in there that you can just use, and then you can fine tune it to really fit an organization.
Yeah. So have you found outside of the starter kit that you've developed any of your own kind of, strategies or bits of even code, etc., that you've put in place to enhance what the starter kit starts with?
Yeah, I did some things, and one of the things is, for example, that at the company I'm currently working on, we have, for example, the app catalog that's part of the starter kit. We also wanted to showcase some images, so you have an idea, so like an actual app store. You see some screenshots of the application. So I just created some image fields inside of the CDS that's used for and just store some pictures there, and that, or a link to a stream video just to enhance what is already there.
Very cool. Very cool. How do you decide where you should use SharePoint, where you should use SQL, or where you should stick with CDS? How do you kind of decide that on the various projects you work on?
Well, I've done, because I was an Office 365 consultant. I've done some SharePoint in my time, but I use SharePoint only if you can, if it's not a lot of data and there's not a big question regarding permissions. So if it's simple data, maybe two, maybe three lists, but that's on the edge of, if you have more than that, then you don't use it because it's not a relational database. So if it's that, if it's the access structure is very easy and it's not that much data, then SharePoint is fine. I prefer CDS. I hardly ever use SQL, actually. I would actually use SQL if it's in place already. If you don't have it in place, why not use CDS? Because it's in your license. You also have to have a license to use SQL.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Interesting. Tell us about becoming an MVP. What was that journey for you?
yeah, that was fun. I started presenting at user groups and some local events and SharePoint Saturdays. Actually, that's where I started out. Just presenting, because at first it was just, let's just try it, let's see if I like it, and I liked it. Just sharing knowledge, and at some point the user group started for Power Apps, and what was Flow. And I wanted to start one in the Netherlands, but there were some guys that they were first. So I said to him, if you want help, just let me know. But they were good for that moment. But then there was a vacancy a couple of months later, so I joined them and just started organizing user groups and doing 365 Saturday organization in the Netherlands, and yeah, that's how it went.
Wow. So what does that mean for you from when you got involved in it? Are you organizing the user groups to run, and kind of what format do your user groups run?
So we have our user groups are we usually have two speakers, so people who want to share their knowledge about some content. We look for one of the Microsoft partners to sponsor the evening, so they just provide their location and take care of the food and drinks, which is very important. And so the main job that we have actually is to make sure that we have different kind of topics, so that people keep on learning new stuff. And we try to do as many different people presenting as possible. So also give people who want to start, try to present, give them a stage.
No, that makes sense. So tell me, what are you doing now that COVID-19 is out in play? How do you run your user groups now?
Yeah, actually, we have that's actually a topic of discussion, because there's so much we can do online. Since most Dutch people speak English, there is a lot of content. So doing an in-person user group is just out of the question at the moment. That basically means that we just hold out at the moment.
Oh, so you're not bringing the community together and running kind of everybody just having a beer at home or something like that on camera, or you're not doing anything to bring the community together?
At the moment, no.
Mm.
No.
Do you think you might? Like, because if this goes on for another 6 months, do you think you will still, something that I suppose keeps the social
Yes.
contact going without, because as you say, there's a lot of technical content out there, but sometimes people just want to feel connected.
Yeah, we might. I think we might try do that. It's just what I find is that there a lot. I know the people who usually come to our evenings, and there are a lot have families at home, and since the schools are closed, I see my colleagues as well who have kids that that's a heavy load.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, since becoming an MVP, has anything changed for you? Do you feel there's more opportunities? I see. Did you go to Scotland and speak at the probably the last big community event for some time?
That was the last. Yeah, we had the week after that was 365 Saturday in Amsterdam. That was the really, really, really last event. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to get some declines on sessions I submitted since I have become an MVP, and not so much. Also, people asking me. So that's different than it was before. Yeah.
And what about you've obviously had your first MVP summit. What did you think?
Yeah, but it yeah, I was so bummed that we didn't go to Seattle because let's just say for circumstances it was they did an amazing job, but having a virtual event is not the same.
No. So true. So true. So true. So what do you plan on doing in the coming months? Being that, like a couple of things. How do you stay sane, when there's this kind of forced quarantine? Because other people out there are probably in a similar situation. How do you kind of maintain your mental health, and how do you still contribute to the community over the coming, couple of months with the hibernation we've all been forced into?
So I'm one of the lucky ones because I live in a rural area, so I still have the opportunity to go outside. So that's one of the things I do to keep sane is just go outside, have a walk, bike, just get some fresh air. I actually did a presentation last week at a user group in Washington D.C. because they invited me to do it online. So they organized a lunch session. So I presented at their user group, which was fun. Nothing planned yet, but I am looking for more opportunities to do things like that. And I am planning on doing some more blogging, or maybe some more videos or something like that, because now I have.
I like it. So we can put a little advert out here that you're available to speak at user groups anywhere around the world, and you can speak on governance. You can speak on why CDS over SharePoint is. Well, you've got so many topics that you can talk about.
I did actually AI Builder. I'll talk a lot of AI Builder the last couple of months, but there's a lot I can talk about.
That's awesome. Just on AI Builder front, what's your favorite template that you use?
I would say the object detection. It's still fun, but also the sentiment analysis. That's actually the one I usually use in my demos. Just get some things from Twitter and see what is the sentiment.
Okay, well, we're about out of time. Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Yes, I am.
Okay, here's the first one. If you could be famous, what would you want to be famous for?
For my crazy unicorn habit. I think I'm a little bit famous already for that.
Do you have a unicorn wig?
No. No, I just have some random unicorn stuff hanging around, and yeah,
the famous Will Dorrington got me a unicorn wig. And I have a long blonde hair with a unicorn horn out the top of it and rainbow ears. Who in your life inspires you to be better?
My husband.
Nice.
Yes,
What
definitely.
do you regret not doing when you were younger?
Finish school.
Mm-hmm.
So I still managed to get somewhere, but yeah, that would be something I would do different. Yeah.
If you had to relive the same day for the rest of your life, which day would you choose?
Yeah, actually, I think becoming an MVP. So December 1st of 2019. Yeah, that was a good one.
What is your worst habit?
Making a mess. I think my husband will say that's my worst habit. Yeah.
Classic.
I'm not. Yeah.
And here's the final one. Would you rather end the life of one human or 100 puppies and kittens?
I cannot answer that question. Sorry.
That is a good answer.
That's the worst question ever.
It is a catch-22 for real. Rebekka, it's been great to have you on the show. If people want to, follow your social media and things like that, where can they find you?
On Twitter, definitely, and also LinkedIn.
Hey, thank you for listening. Please take a look at the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge if you are struggling to know where next or what next to do with your career. You can see this free program or take part of this free program by going to nz365guy.com/90daymc, or just go to the website and you'll see up the navigation mentoring. And this free mentoring program is available for anybody, anywhere in the world that's in the Microsoft Business Application space. Full show notes for this episode can be found at nz365guy.com/189. See you next time.